Hello YouTube, this is Nite Misfortune. Welcome back to the Serpents Open Fall Tournament. This is our last round of 16 match. Quite exciting to be getting to the quarterfinal matches finally tomorrow. So for now, we are going to continue with this awesome match between Rainbows and Amoyoba. Of course, Rainbows is one of those players that is on the cusp of qualifying for the invitational tournament, so she definitely needs to have a strong showing in at least this match, and depending on how the other matches go, she would need to probably do well in the next one as well. But for now, she has her opponent Amoyoba. Before we get started, wanted to quickly apologize. I'm feeling a bit under the weather today, so if you hear a weird sound in my nose, that is probably why. I have not been taking French lessons. I promise I don't do well with other languages. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into this match in 3, 2, 1, go. Let's introduce our players, starting with our player on the bottom left. It is our Cybran commander with the name of Amoyoba. I hear that this is Taylor Slate's favorite name to say, and he has definitely shown some great performances in this tournament so far. Let's see how he does against his opponent, who is our blue Aeon commander, plopping down a 1 land factory in a curious position, I will say that. It is AA Rainbows and Unicorns. Both players actually start with 1 land factory. I'm just very curious to see Rainbows put it down so far. Usually if you're opening up with 1, you want to get it as close as you can to your opponent. Maybe she's setting it up for a possible flank. I mean, after all, it's not a huge deal, but you know, every little bit helps. I'm just curious to see why she did that. Maybe she was just trying to get a clear path for her commander. I don't know. Both of these players doing pretty much same thing. Building 1 land factory and moving closer to the center here. Plopping down a 2nd land factory each. And Rainbows is actually grabbing a 3rd here. And both of them are expanding counterclockwise. So far, very standard. Very standard. 3rd factory for Amoyoba as well. And looks like Rainbows is going to try and push here with her ACU. Definitely the right thing to do here. Amoyoba is going for nothing but loyalists here. Risky build against just tanks, because of course tanks are much better. Rainbows should have range on her tanks, but miss-microing a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely a miss-micro by Rainbows. Her ACU is not protecting her tanks. Her tanks are actually just in the middle of all these loyalists. And 3 fall. I think 3 for 3, but that definitely favors the Cybran commander. And Rainbows, you could just be doing so much better here, covering your tanks. A point defense is coming up, so Rainbows will need to pull back here. There's a mobile missile launcher out on the field, and there's very uncharacteristic lack of micro from Rainbows. Very unfortunate. Her mobile missile launcher also took quite a bit of damage here. And it's probably going to die here, unfortunately. Oh no. Rainbows, you had such good opportunities here. There are 2 more mobile missile launchers, but now the problem is there's not enough tanks against all these swarming loyalists coming from Amoyoba. And that PD, 2nd PD actually. First one fell. Okay, alright. And Rainbows has grabbed her 4th land factory, so is Amoyoba. It looks like there's a 5th one queued up, and both players are very similar on expansions. Actually, Amoyoba has 1 more. He managed to squeeze out 1 more here. And I'm not sure why the mobile missile launchers are going here with the bunch here. I would rally them to try and attack this. Yes, there we go. That's perfect. I think too many mobile missile launchers as well here. And oh boy. These loyalists might actually do quite a bit of damage. Yes, but Rainbows keeps her tanks going. Beautiful play from Rainbows here. Needs to engage with the loyalists right now to try and avoid too many losses. Is that a control K? I think Maybe a little bit of a premature control K. Needs to keep microing those tanks. Meanwhile, there's engagement down here in the center again. Those mobile missile launchers are tanking the fire, which I guess when you're fighting tank to loyalists is not a huge deal, but you need those mobile missile launchers. Those are very expensive units. And there's a PD creep coming now from Amoyoba, and I don't know where Rainbow's tanks keep going. Losing a core mass extractor is not very good when you're down a mass extractors as it is, and Rainbow's just does not protect her army with her ACU. I'm not sure what's going on here. This is not very characteristic of Rainbow's. She has shown so much improvement throughout the 2020 season, and this just feels like a little bit of a step back from her. And even with those shields, those tanks fall so quickly. Still no Brackman from Amoyoba. This is not that difficult of an army to counteract. That point defense finally falls to some mobile missile launcher fire. And now Rainbows is actually grabbing an advantage in mass extractor production, but unfortunately there's a turd of loyalists coming over here. That's going to be very, very scary, and probably Rainbows will not be able to deal with it. She's trying to plop down a point defense, which actually might do the trick here, but not before these loyalists take out this mass extractor here. And probably another one will manage to go down for Amoyoba here. Yep, unfortunate. Amoyoba even microing his loyalists around. That's pretty good. And Rainbows just continues to take small losses here. Very unfortunate. If her commander was just in front of this tank army, I think these fights would just be so much simpler. I think she would have won all 3 fights she had. And not walking into PD fire would also help. Amoyoba's unit control is not the best, but obviously with loyalists, it's quite easy when you're just fighting tanks straight up, because they are so slow firing. There's going to be 3 PDs here. Oh my goodness. And that PD is actually in range of the Cybern PDs. That is so unfortunate. Rainbows, you're taking PD fired. Oh no. What is happening here? Oh no. 3 lonely bots survive here, but are gonna die to all the PD fire. PDs are doing work in this game. And now we have research factories, or research stations, I guess, coming off from our Cybern commander. Looks like the Aeon commander has not yet done so. I don't know about this, Rainbows. I would just grab the mass. You're behind on mass right now. I mean, if this works, it works. This is wonderful, but it's a gamble. It's a gamble right now, and you really need to keep expanding. And if this base falls, there's no way for you to rebuild it in the foreseeable future. These point defenses are taking down fire. This is a pretty hefty investment by Amoyoba, and Rainbows has done a fairly good job dealing with this, but unfortunately her army just keeps poking into it. Now, if she actually takes these point defenses out, she might actually be able to step in here. There's actually shields on this Cybern army. What? I don't remember the last time I saw shields on a Cybern army in a competitive game. That's pretty interesting. And these PDs just keep getting rebuilt over and over again. Those mobile missile launchers need to be micro to the back of the army. It's time now for the Cybern army to walk into point defense fire, and that was a little bit of a dangerous engagement for Rainbows. And oh my goodness, those bots are just not dying. I was gonna say the structure or unit detonate might be a real threat, and Amoyoba just does not care. He just is gonna send all of his loyalists around, and they're gonna do some real damage. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the power of position. And the power of bots. If you let them go like that, especially with shields. Oh man. You know, unit detonate would actually just be great here. There's another. Oh my goodness. Where are Rainbows' units? There's nothing here for Rainbows. And now there's Brackman making their way out in the field. These Brackman or Loyalists just are not falling. Now just targeting down Rainbows' commander. I don't know why he backs off. I think he can just take his commander out. And Amoyoba continues to surprise me. That's insane. He has shown such solid play. Where has this guy been? If he has participated in the SCS earlier, I think he might have had a very good chance to progress to the Invitational. But for now, it is not over. Rainbow still has a chance to even this out. Let's see if she manages to do so in the next game. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the match between Rainbows and Amoyoba. The map is Way Station Zeta. One of those maps that I've forgotten that were in this map pool because we were just seeing Arctics, Powderhorns, Desolatias, and Igneuses all day long. But Zeta was also in there, and it's not a bad map. Not a bad map for 1v1 or 2v2. So let's see what these players managed to come up with here. On the left-hand side, we have our blue and commander starting off with one air factory, and looks like there's a land factory being queued up. It is, of course, AA Rainbows and Unicorns, and it is no secret that she's one of my favorite players, and I really hope she does well in this tournament. And on the right-hand side, we have our green Cybern commander with the name of Amoyoba. I have no idea what it means, so if you know what it means, please do comment down in the description, because that's a weird name. It's not even Russian. I don't think it's Russian, at least. I don't know. Maybe it's Finnish. I have no idea. Anyway, looks like one land factory from Amoyoba, one land and one air from Rainbows. Now, what the heck is happening on Amoyoba's side? Oh, you know what? If I had to guess, yes, this is absolutely Amoyoba's pick. And I think Kai was banned because there was a very strong game by Amoyoba on that map. And I know what this is. This is the same build we saw against Shade on Kai. This is the exact same build, because this is a choky map. This is the exact same situation, I think. There's one air, one land for the opponent with a choke point, one research station coming down with one land factory, a big expansion over here. I'm going to speed this up. This is a Megalith Rush, everybody. This is the build that was very, very impressive, and caught all the casters off guard. And it was such a great play, and this is very dangerous. I think, was there a second? I'm not sure if there was a second land factory here. Rainbows is going to utilize her bombers to fight. So if she's banned Kai, then it would make sense that she's aware of this strategy. And it would also make sense that she would maybe anticipate it now with this research station coming out. So let's see how she decides to deal with this. Looks like her immediate response is to just bombard these loyalists, which is, I think, the right idea. I think she's staying very aware, and so far showing that a solid play that she has shown. I think she needs a second land factory here as soon as possible. Great position by that second land factory, by the way, from Amoyoba, covering these 4 mass extractors. If air does become an issue, these will be protected, not by the shield, but at least by the anti-air here, and maybe producing more engineers here. Radar is not very necessary at this point. You know, with these bots, it is possible to get flanked, but you've just done a great job picking off these loyalists here. Would love to see you reclaim this, Rainbows, but whatever. Not a huge deal. You're just breaking Steel's heart. And an anti-air, I think this is an overinvestment, maybe. But Rainbows is going to end up losing two planes. Yep, go down. She's still producing air, and okay, this PD definitely is not needed. If you do indeed suspect, which I'm not sure she does suspect the Megalith at this point, but if she does indeed suspect that this is a Megalith, I think she needs production ASAP, and this point defense is not really going to do much, and she can probably tell because there's no attempts at flanking from Amoyoba. He's just sitting back. You know, I would love this build much more if there were Brackman. And actually, I don't think he did. I don't think he went for a third land factory in that build. And he doesn't have that many energy generators. So maybe this is not a Megalith. There's a second research station being popped down. Yeah, I think he had a megalith gantry already down by the 6th minute. I think maybe even by the 5th minute when he did this on QAI Labs. So I don't think this is the build actually. I think he might be going for the shields again. Looks like Rainbows is gonna pause that air production, which is not a bad idea because, you know, her opponent is not really expanding and has overinvested into anti-air. Well, I don't know about overinvested. I mean, he really hasn't spent that much in anti-air towers. There's just second one, and then there's no adapters or anything. If there was 2 anti-air and adapters, that would be an overinvestment. But I think this is just right. And there is indeed a megalith. I don't remember if this is the exact build, but I feel like this megalith is a little slower than what it was in the other game. Rainbows is moving her air around and gets a nice scout to see that megalith coming, but somehow like she just took a little bit of a time to get her factories up, and she's significantly down on her land production. She does have shields on her units, but I think, yeah, this is what was really strong, is that meanwhile there was a megalith, there were stars on these loyalists, and now they have almost as much health as these tanks, and that is just deadly. Goodness gracious. And now this megalith is coming out. It's already almost a quarter of the way. This is not looking good for Rainbows, who is also down on land units. If this was the army of Rainbows and this was the army of Amoyoba, I would be okay with this, but right now this is very rough for Rainbows to deal with. She's not going to be able to shut down this megalith, and once it comes out, there's just going to be no opportunity for her to defend herself. She might have teleport, but she just doesn't have enough to snipe here. A lot of research stations are going down, though, but there's not enough energy. Oh, there's energy. Okay, there's energy back here. Rainbow's doing a good job expanding, too. This has been this has been a very solid game from Rainbows, with one exception. There's just too much time that she's waited to get these land factories down. As a result, her army is just not strong enough to contest with this megalith, I fear. Especially if there's unit detonate. There's now quite a bit of stars. Second megalith, by the looks of it, is coming out. Rainbows is going to sit behind the shields, but a large portion of her army is going to start taking some fire. She is going to go and try and snipe this megalith, but unfortunately gets caught in the middle of the Cybran army. Looks like there's no unit detonate as of yet, but her army just melts away with barely taking that megalith to 50%. And this is exactly what I meant, is just it's not a big enough army to really be doing anything. Unfortunately, that megalith is just too strong, especially with all the stars. I think there's 4 stars now on this army. Goodness gracious. This build is so powerful on a choky map. You really just want to... You can't be playing to the chokes, I think. I think you have to go around or put a little bit more of a play on air. Yeah, this is looking rough for Rainbows here. There's shields even on this Cybran army. Oh my goodness. And this is why this is such a terrible... Well... terrible for the Aeon, but this is a great build for the Cybran. Bombing run coming in, but those planes are gonna melt, and I'm not sure what she was trying to accomplish there. And unfortunately, I think this push is gonna be the end of Rainbows. She's gonna try and teleport again, but this is just so risky, and I'm just so surprised that Amoyoba didn't get unit detonate at this point, because that would just be a very quick Control D. And most of the Aeon army would fall. Now there's a second gantry out on the field. Amoyoba is going to be building 2 megaliths at a time, and cicadas are probably going to be very quick to follow. She's going to try and snipe this megalith one more time, and unfortunately does not do so. Doesn't lose that many tanks. Well, actually, that's a lot of tanks. But what the problem is right now is that she's going to lose her land factories, and that's really it, I think. She's trying to build some air factories, but that's really not going to do anything. Finally gets that megalith down, but there's a Another one coming out, and her ACU gets caught here by all these loyalists. The teleport is not going to save her, and Rainbows and Unicorns does end up going down 2-0. Quite an unfortunate showing for her. I think maybe she herself has underestimated Amoyoba and what he could do, but this was certainly very impressive from Amoyoba. He has shown such a solid play in this tournament, and I was very impressed. And of course, in the next match, he has a chance to prove himself even further. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares going forward. But nevertheless, this has been a very interesting round of 16 match. This was our last round of 16 match. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have, please go check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/NiteOM. That's NITEOM. And you can support either the tournaments, the SCS tournaments, or my channel, You could do both. And if you don't want to contribute monetarily, of course, as always, a like and a comment will be appreciated. And if you could hit that follow button, I would love you even more. And I hope to see you in the next video. Hope you're having a great day, and see you later.